Hello, and thank you for taking the time today to join us at CloudWorld to hear about building Redwood application experiences with the Oracle Applications Platform. My name is Jeff Price. I'm Vice President of Product Management for our Application Platform team, and I'm very happy to have this opportunity to take you through what we're doing with the Redwood design system and how the Applications Platform allows you to build applications the same way Oracle is building its Redwood application experiences. And what that really means at Oracle is we started about 4 years ago with a journey to redesign the user experiences for all of our applications and everything that goes with them, including websites and tooling, you name it. And that means it's a journey to reimagine user experiences, not just from a top level, but throughout the depth of the applications, as we'll show you today. And it's a design-led movement. We have a very strong design team that's really thinking deeply about what it means to have a productive enterprise user experience for our applications and for the ones that you build. And that means looking across our total application portfolio, especially Fusion applications, NetSuite, or industry applications. This is an example from HCM. All of these applications are responsively designed. The Redwood design system handles that automatically for you. This is an example of a deeper, more complex user interface in a supply chain management application. Here's a dashboard example. And this extends throughout thousands of UIs that Oracle's building and that you will build in your applications. And to do that, the design team has thought very deeply about the design system and then how that design system is implemented in the building blocks that I'll show you today. You see already in Oracle Applications Suite, lots of these applications rolling out. Every quarter, we have a new set of Redwood application experiences coming out. And we really want this to be not just for Oracle's applications, but for everyone's. And so we're trying to really democratize great user experience design and implementation for all sorts of enterprise apps across all industries. And as we've done that, one of the things that has led us to do is think more deeply about what does applications platform mean in the context of the applications themselves. So in the past, lots of people have thought of this as two disparate worlds, applications on one side, platform on the other. And it was up to the partner and the customer to put those two things together. With Redwood, we realized that to really give our teams and our partners and customers a rich platform for building user experiences, it meant that we had to put these things together more in a more seamless and integrated way. So really, the applications platform is integrated with the apps. It almost becomes as if your apps are the platform. And so you'll see that communicated more and more within our conversations about our applications with our customers, that customers should look at our applications as the platform for lots of their business processes. And part of that stemmed from realization and feedback from customers that the reason they chose their Oracle applications, one of the big reasons, was to have a single system of record, a single source of truth, single data model for all business data and processes, and all of the logic that goes with that. Why is that important? Because, of course, you don't want to put all the work into securing, putting your identities and roles and business processes into one system, and then to be able to build a custom application, have to extract that data from the system of record, secure it separately, audit it separately, handle compliance separately. No, what people want is to use it where it is and then be able to extend the application or build new applications on top of that data. This is super important for enterprise apps. And so that all of those insights, the need to build the Redwood design system, implement it in our applications, make it possible for customers and partners to implement it in their apps, has led us to update components of our applications platform. You can imagine that for Oracle to design experiences across literally thousands and thousands of user interfaces across our portfolio, we want to have our developers be as productive as possible. We want to have your developers be as productive as possible. And so that means we're investing in a set of capabilities. And there are about 9 of them, as you see on the screen here. And they're designed to enable consumer-grade experiences across all devices and to enable applications to be smart, self-learning, and provide great analytics. And this is important not just at a superficial level. Sometimes when we think about great user interface design, we think of it just at a superficial level. But when we say that, we really mean all the way from the user interface, how the user interfaces with the application, all the way down through the business logic to the data and everything in between. So let's go through these 9 areas quickly. First are the UX building blocks. So as I said, the Redwood design system specifies a whole set of new design and user interface behaviors. And those start to be implemented in individual components. Oracle Jet, the JavaScript extension toolkit, is what we use to implement over 190 building block components at the kind of atomic level. Those then are assembled into composites. So higher level constructs that combine multiple components into a specific UI implementation that is used in applications. And perhaps most importantly, those are then used in what we call page templates. We are building an increasingly large library of page templates that implement the most common enterprise user interface patterns that we see. Things like editing data, or looking at a dashboard, or drilling down through hierarchical data. What that means is that our application developers and your application developers get the opportunity to use a page template that is pre-configured for the pattern they're implementing, that automatically handles some of the more complex things like responsive layout for smaller devices, accessibility, as we'll talk about in a minute, and really is the key to the productivity to quickly building application user experiences that are literally consumer grade. So that's the UX building blocks. We also talk about conversational experiences because it's not just about graphical user interfaces all the time. It's about conversations, whether that's text-based conversations like you see in the example on the screen, or speech to text on a mobile device, or anywhere in between, or conversations that happen not in the application, but in other interfaces like Slack or Microsoft Teams or SMS. Conversational experiences are woven throughout the idea of the Redwood design system and increasingly in our applications. Intelligent recommendations. So dealing with large volumes of data, customers often have to search and pick from a list of choices. Through machine learning and the knowledge that we can gain from the use of the applications, we automatically calculate and recommend the most likely things the customer would choose. And they're highlighted in that color bar you see in the top 5 choices there. And that's a continuously learning model so that as customers are using the applications, the recommendations get better and better. And that also means that if you're using business data in an application that you build that's hosted in Fusion, you can get these recommendations in your apps too, automatically, powered by the same machine learning models. Search. Search in the highest performance sense is absolutely critical to building modern high performance user experiences. And you'll see search woven throughout the experiences of Redwood applications. And not just search from a basic sense, but from a really intelligent sense in the idea of, as you're searching, we're continuously calculating different facets, different filter chips that we'll present, and then using that to quickly narrow down from millions and millions of pieces of data just to the ones that you're looking at. And of course, it is also learning continuously so that it presents the information most likely to be of use. And again, if you're accessing the business objects in Fusion, for example, you can take advantage of that same high performance search. Telemetry. So this is a key point that as application logic moves more and more into the client, into JavaScript, we built a new telemetry system to make sure that we can gain as much knowledge from the customer use of applications in a compliant and safe way as possible. That helps our application developers build better applications and helps those applications get better faster. It also, in the future, will be available to customers and partners so that their applications and flows that they design can be monitored from a DevOps sense, but also have the user experience analyzed so that you know that changes you make to the applications are actually improving the user experience, making your users more productive. This data is key to doing that. Accessibility. I want to take a moment to really drill in on this because this is a super important topic. Accessibility of your applications for all users, the ability to deploy these applications for customers who demand a high level of accessibility. So it's very important, but it's also in the past has been very challenging. Often applications are built and only after they're built do they get inspected for accessibility in an accessibility review, which often finds many issues that then have to be remediated in a very costly process. Because the Redwood design system and the way we've implemented it into our composite components and templates, we've taken accessibility and built it right in. So when you use a Redwood page template, you get things like the keyboard navigation, the tab order, the ARIA attributes, ensuring that the color contrast is appropriate for low-sighted users, the compatibility with screen readers like JAWS and VoiceOver. And so that means that developers, when they use the Redwood design system and the Redwood page templates, you get accessibility effectively automatically. You would have to go out of your way to produce an inaccessible app, which I'm sure you wouldn't do. And what we're finding at Oracle already is that applications built using these page templates have zero or a tiny fraction of the accessibility issues that we find in testing than we did before. So this is a super important point, and we're trying to make it much easier for you. Data visualizations. Now, of course, Oracle is the data company, and we have a vast array of tooling that allows you to analyze and produce visualizations on data. Oracle Analytics is a great example of that. And we want to make it easier for developers at Oracle and at partners and customers to use visualizations in their applications. Sometimes that might mean rendering an Oracle Analytics visualization right in your app, or it could be a custom solution that you build that is specific to your app. But you'll find that in our apps, and we hope in your apps, that beautiful performant visualizations will be much easier to build, which means they will be much more likely to be used. Business objects. Now, we talked at the beginning here about our insight that customers building applications want to keep their data in the system of record, protected by all the security and roles and auditing and compliance. And that's what we're giving you. You get access to all of your Oracle business objects, whether that's through a Fusion application that you're extending or a custom application that you're building. That gives you access to all of the built-in business objects or custom ones that you have extended. And we're increasingly building a higher and higher performant and more scalable system so that if your needs are to define lots of custom objects and lots of data, we'll be able to handle it for you. And of course, the business objects are integrated, as I said, with recommendations. So you can get recommendations on your business object to surface the most commonly used data, integrated with high performance search. So you can find all this data in a very performant way, and integrated with analytics. So if you need an analytic view of data stored in your business objects, you can get that too. We're making it much easier, but always protected by the core security. Let's talk a minute about low-code development. So one of the things that our Fusion customers have started to enjoy is that Visual Builder, Oracle's low-code development tool for application extensions, is built in to Fusion. So any of you Fusion customers, if you go to your Fusion test pod today, you will find in the navigator, as I'm showing here, under configuration, Visual Builder. Visual Builder is the tool that Oracle uses to build this next generation of Fusion applications in the Redwood design system. It's the tool that you and your customers and partners will use to extend those applications in an upgrade safe way. And it's the tool that you will use to build any custom app that you can imagine. And that means that you're using the same tool, and often in a mixed sense, where you might be extending something Oracle built, reusing something that Oracle built, and mashing that up into a new application with data from other systems, all in an application that can then be deployed right back to Fusion, integrated just as the rest of Fusion applications are. And so that means that you get a few things. One is, as you're seeing here, you get access to all the same components and page templates that Oracle uses to build its apps. You get a catalog that gives you access to all of the data in Fusion in this example. We're going to drill into the CRM system here. We're going to pick an account object among the many objects, and we're going to drag that onto the page just as an Oracle team might do to produce a visualization. This is a very simple example here. We're going to drag it into a table. This is sourcing it from Oracle CX applications. And we're going to present that very simply. I can choose my endpoint here. And of course, whoever's running this application doesn't have access to anything they wouldn't have had directly in Fusion. So you can see we rendered that in a simple table. We've wired it up to search so that if I search for something, I can go ahead and filter that list right down. And when I'm ready to go, when I'm done with this, I can press publish and deploy this right to the Fusion pod. And this application will look and feel and work like any other application that's part of Fusion. And you can put it in the navigator wherever you want it to go. You can link to it from other spots in the system. And so when you build custom applications like this, your users will view them as just another part of their Fusion application suite. They don't need to learn anything new. They get automatically all of the behavior that Fusion has. And so it should be very easy to adopt. And it's also upgrade safe in the sense that as new releases of Fusion come out every quarter, your applications are protected. They won't break. So let's take an example here. This is the new Oracle Digital Sales application. And this is built with what we call the fold-out layout. You can see this horizontally scrolling way of presenting different categories of information. At the top here is a search box, which has a combination behavior of search, conversational UX, and recommendations, so that this becomes the primary entry point for a lot of users into this application for either data they're looking for or tasks they're looking to perform. And again, these same page templates and components are available to you to use in your application. And increasingly, Oracle will provide you access to the fragments that we have built of these pages to reuse in your application, so you don't even need to rebuild them. All of the data on the page here is connected to business objects. So all of this is available in a REST API to any application. It's also available to customize. I'll talk about that in a minute. This application automatically emits the stream of telemetry that I talked about so that you can do DevOps monitoring as well as usage analytics. And you can do that without the developer of the application having to wire up anything. Don't have to add any instrumentation to the app. Don't have to plumb anything to the back end. It's all handled automatically. And then if the user has the proper role, they get this little pencil icon here that allows them to go in and extend this page in Visual Builder. And for an end customer doing that, that means that they can do simple things like change what fields are ordered or their order in one of these columns, or hide a particular panel, or add a new data item to an opportunity or a lead. All that can be done in an upgrade-safe, mostly no-code way. And that also means that you can build custom applications that are then extensible by your customers. An example of that would be an internal application where you want your administrators in Europe to be able to configure it differently than the user interface you have in North America or Asia. They can write a simple rule, drag the fields around, and customize that, both for the Oracle built applications that are in the Redwood design system, as well as custom applications that you build that you choose to make extensible by your internal customers. I also want to talk about a great resource that we're launching at CloudWorld. It's called redwood.oracle.com. This is the source for anybody who wants to learn about the Redwood design system, the way it's implemented in our components and templates. We have a link to an awesome reference application. We call it the Redwood Reference Application, RRA for short. This gives you a way to interact with a live application that implements the best practices of the Redwood design system. And you can also go in and see how it is built so that you can understand the architecture and how to build applications like that. I'm showing here what we call the Redwood Pattern Book. And this is where a designer and developer, business analyst can go and look at the various patterns that have been implemented, find the pattern that matches best the enterprise scenario that you're trying to implement, and then learn about how to use that pattern in the best way, what configurations options are available, and then take that knowledge into Visual Builder and use it. So where does all of this fit in the Oracle stack? This is a chart you've probably seen before. It talks about our applications from Oracle and third parties on top of our Oracle Cloud infrastructure, which is increasingly adding new services all the time. What we're doing here with Redwood is essentially giving you a set of experience accelerators. So for the times that you want to implement the Redwood application user experiences in your apps, we give you access to the building blocks, the development tool, the low-code visual builder, the business objects, recommendations, the analytics and telemetry, the conversational UX, and more. We want those to be usable by all Oracle apps, as well as third-party and custom applications. And so you can kind of think of these things increasingly, this happens over time, as part of the Oracle Cloud infrastructure, in the sense that they're all pieces of infrastructure supporting Oracle and third-party applications in the service of implementing great Redwood user experiences. That's what we're here for, with a big focus, especially on my team, of developer productivity. So we want to give developers the ability to build applications quickly, give them the building blocks that make them beautiful out of the box, and make that accessible to as many developers as we can. So what does this mean specifically for a Fusion customer, for example? So with Fusion, the Redwood design system, and the platform I've talked about today, that means all your business data for your applications stays in Fusion, protected just like you want it to be. You get access to all of the Redwood templates and components that we use to build apps at Oracle. You can now use them. You get Visual Builder Studio for building application extensions to Oracle apps, as well as your custom apps. You will use things like page fragments, where you can build a unit of user interface and then reuse it across your apps. You get automatic access to the smart search and filter experience for business objects. You get conversational UX in the Oracle Digital Assistant. You get automatic responsive UI for all device types, meaning all of the experiences that we looked at today, if you shrank them down to the phone, they automatically reorient themselves appropriately for a smaller device. And an application you build on this platform, you automatically get a progressive web app. So you can install it on device, on Windows, on your mobile device, you name it. You get automatic telemetry with rich analytics. And finally, you get access to redwood.oracle.com. That's where I'd encourage all of you to go to learn more about the platform. So speaking of learning more, we have some great ancillary sessions at CloudWorld. We have Designing Redwood Experiences. That's Hillel Cooperman and Jenny Lamb who are leading the Redwood design system effort across Oracle. If you weren't able to see that, I know it's available digitally as well. Very important one. Another one is the hands-on lab. So what I showed you very briefly in terms of building a Redwood app experience, you can actually go and do it here at CloudWorld or later with our hands-on lab building Redwood app experiences. There's also a guide to developing Oracle SaaS extensions. So specifically focus on extending apps that Oracle has built using Visual Builder. Another session on how we're increasing our front-end developer productivity using Visual Builder Studio here at Oracle. And a session from one of our customers, Carvana, who has built a great application using Visual Builder on Oracle Cloud Infrastructure and a lot of other Oracle technology that they use very extensively in their business operations. I'd also encourage you, if you're at CloudWorld, to come and see us in the CloudWorld Hub, where we have a bunch of our product team members there to talk to you about what we're doing and answer your questions. And then online, 3 great resources. One is, again, redwood.oracle.com. That's where you can go to learn all about what I've talked about today. There's community.oracle.com, Customer Connect. This is our Customer Connect platform for all of our applications and technology. And you will find forums there for designing Redwood experiences, developing Redwood experiences, and extending Oracle applications. I would encourage everybody to come there, ask your questions, contribute knowledge. We will host webcasts and produce a lot of content in that location. And then the last thing I would ask of you is to participate in research. So we have a research team that wants to reach out to you, get to know your scenarios, what's going on with your use of Oracle applications and platform. And on this next screen here, I have a QR code. If you scan this or go to that shortened URL there, you can sign up, and our research advisors in our design team will reach out to you and schedule a time to learn more. If you're willing to do that, we would be very appreciative. So that's what I wanted to tell you about Redwood and the Oracle Applications Platform here for CloudWorld. I really thank you for taking the time to watch this. I also really thank you for being an Oracle customer, being an Oracle partner and developer who is exploring platforms like this. And I would really love to get your feedback and questions. I've got my contact info there at the bottom of the screen. Reach out to me or come to Customer Connect and we'll get your questions answered. We'll get you connected with the right experts because we really think that we're on the cusp of a huge reimagination, revolution in user experience. We're doing that in our apps, and we want to make it possible for you to do it in your apps. Thank you.